In this episode of the AI Slop podcast, Lara van der Kaster and Eric Stalewaters talk about the effectiveness of Rotary Positional Encodings, ROPE, in transformer-based large language models, based on the Round and Round We Go paper by Federico Barbero and colleagues. The paper challenges the commonly held belief that ROPE is beneficial because it decays token dependency with increasing relative distance. Instead, it proposes that ROPE's usefulness stems from its ability to construct robust, positional, attention patterns using high frequencies and semantic, attention patterns using low frequencies. The paper also introduces p-ROPE, a modified version of ROPE that removes the lowest frequencies to create robust semantic channels, potentially improving long context performance. Through empirical analysis of the Gemma-Sadby model and mathematical proofs, the authors demonstrate how different frequencies of ROPE contribute to the attention mechanism and provide insights into the potential for further optimizing LLMs.
All right, so today we're diving into something pretty important when we're talking about AI and language models, and that's positional encodings.
Okay.
Specifically a method called Rotary Positional Encodings, or ROPE for short. Yeah. Basically, it's all about getting those LLMs to understand that word order actually matters.
Yeah, it's kind of like teaching a supercomputer about grammar, isn't it?
Totally.
And this paper you shared, Round and Round We Go, what makes rotary positional encodings useful?
Yeah.
It really digs into the nuts and bolts of why this method works so well.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And it definitely seems like we're going a bit beyond just the surface level here, because this paper actually dissects a trained language model, Gemma 7b, to see ROPE in action.
Right.
So it's not just theory. We're getting our hands dirty with the actual mechanics.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that makes this paper so cool is that it challenges some common assumptions about ROPE.
Okay.
There's this idea that ROPE really works by basically making words that are further apart in a sentence less related.
Yeah, it seems logical, right?
Right. It seems logical on the surface, but the research suggests it's not always the case.
Okay, so you're saying there's more to ROPE than meets the eye?
Exactly.
Okay, give me the details.
So by analyzing Gemma 7b, the researchers found that ROPE can actually create really strong connections between words that are actually quite far apart in a sentence. It's like these rotating vectors, the kind of heart of ROPE, are creating these hidden pathways of meaning within the model.
So it's not just about how close the words are. It's like these other intricate relationships that ROPE is setting up.
Exactly.
Wow. So what did that even mean for how we understand language processing then?
I think it suggests that LLMs might be forming connections between different concepts in ways that we don't even fully understand yet.
Right.
It challenges that simple idea of closer equals more related.
Yeah.
And kind of opens up this whole new world of possibilities.
Okay, so I'm really curious about these rotating vectors now. How do they actually encode this positional information? And what makes ROPE better than other methods?
So imagine a series of vectors that are rotating at different speeds, kind of like gears in this really complex machine.
Okay.
And the speed of the rotation represents the position of a word in a sentence.
Okay.
So words that are close together are going to have vectors that are rotating at similar speeds, while those that are farther apart are going to have more divergent rotations.
Okay.
Right.
So I think I'm starting to visualize it.
Okay.
But why rotations specifically? What makes that approach so effective?
Yeah, so the researchers found that ROPE's use of rotating vectors allows it to encode this positional information in a way that's both efficient and flexible.
Okay.
Other methods like absolute position embedding can struggle to really capture those nuances of word order, especially in longer sentences.
Okay. So these rotating vectors sound like a pretty cool way to capture the nuances of word order.
Yeah.
But this paper goes even deeper, right?
That's right.
It talks about positional attention heads.
That's right. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The paper suggests that ROPE's unique structure allows Gemma 7b to develop these special attention heads that focus on really specific positional relationships between words.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure.
What do you even mean by specialized attention heads?
So think about it this way. Within this vast network of the language model, right? Certain parts of it are trained to pay attention to very particular patterns.
Yeah.
Some of these heads might focus on words that are right next to each other.
Okay.
Basically learning these rules of grammar and syntax.
So it's like the grammar police of the language model?
Exactly.
Making sure everything's in the right space.
Keeping everything in line.
Okay.
And what's really cool is the paper shows that simpler positional encoding methods,
Right.
ones that don't use these rotating vectors,
Okay.
they couldn't do this.
Huh.
Ropey's design seems to be like really important for creating these really specialized attention heads.
Okay, so we've got these rotating vectors creating these intricate relationships.
Yeah.
And we've got these specialized attention heads that are focusing on certain positions.
Right.
It's like this whole symphony going on inside the model
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
to process this language.
And it gets even more interesting when we start looking at how the model uses different frequencies
Okay.
within these rotating vectors.
Frequencies.
Yeah.
You're bringing back the radio analogy.
Yeah, it's a useful one.
Okay.
So think about it like this Ropey uses this whole spectrum of frequencies.
Okay.
And what the researchers found is that Gemma 7b seems to like mostly use the lower frequencies
Okay.
for like general language processing.
Okay.
It's almost as if it's saving the higher frequencies for special tasks.
Interesting. So those high frequencies are like the specialized tools in the toolkit.
Oh, yes.
They're only brought out for certain jobs.
Right.
Okay, what about the lower frequencies then?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
One of the most interesting things about this paper is that Gemma 7b is using those low frequencies to encode more than just position.
Okay.
They think those frequencies might actually be like representing the meaning of words.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you saying those low frequencies are like a built-in dictionary for the model?
That's the theory.
Oh, wow.
The paper calls these semantic channels,
Okay.
and they have some good evidence for it.
Okay.
Like they found an attention head in Gemma 7b that learned how to identify apostrophes,
Okay.
and it really relied on those low-frequency channels to do it.
Wow. That's really something.
Yeah.
So the model's using these low frequencies to understand not just where words are, but what they mean.
Exactly.
That's like a whole other level.
It is. But
Oh, no, what's the catch?
there's always a catch, right?
Right.
It seems like these semantic channels, these
Yeah.
encoded meanings,
Okay.
they can be a little less stable over really long pieces of text.
Really?
It's like the signal kind of degrades the farther it goes.
Oh. So that's why AI still struggles with those super long sentences.
Yeah.
Like the dictionary starts to like short circuit.
Exactly. And to test this theory, they did something kind of wild.
Okay.
They decided to see what would happen if they like messed with those low frequency semantic channels.
So they like went in and just messed with the AI's dictionary.
Yeah, it's more like they made some adjustments to those low frequency channels.
Okay.
And get this, on a smaller model,
Mm-hmm.
one with about 2 billion parameters,
Okay.
silencing those lowest frequencies
Hmm.
actually made it work better.
Really?
Yeah.
So they made it so it couldn't encode meaning as well?
Yeah.
And it got better at understanding language?
It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But remember we were talking about those semantic channels?
Yeah.
And how they might get kind of unstable with longer sentences?
Right.
So by like silencing those lowest frequencies,
Okay.
they kind of force the model to find other ways, maybe even better ways to encode that meaning.
Wow. So it's like limiting those low frequency channels helped the AI focus on different cues.
Yeah.
And that led to it understanding things better.
In a way, yeah.
That's so cool.
And this isn't just theoretical. This has real implications for how these big language models are being made out there in the world.
Oh, really? How so?
So there's this thing called increasing the Ropey wavelength
Okay.
that's being used in these cutting-edge models like Llama 3.
Okay.
And basically, it stretches out those lower frequencies
Uh-huh.
so they're less sensitive to distance and hopefully more stable over those longer pieces of text.
So all this stuff we've been talking about with Ropey, these rotating vectors and frequency channels,
Yeah.
it's actually being used to build the most advanced language models.
It is. It's really interesting stuff.
It really is. This whole deep dive has been amazing.
It has.
We've gone way past that basic idea of positional encoding and found this
Yeah.
whole hidden world
Right, no, right.
of rotating vectors and special attention heads and semantic frequencies.
Yeah, it's like we're seeing how this AI actually works.
It really is. And it makes you realize just how much we still don't know.
Absolutely.
I mean, if changing these frequencies, even silencing some of them,
Right.
can have such a big impact, imagine what we could do as we learn more.
Exactly.
Could we make even stronger semantic channels by messing with these frequencies more?
It's possible.
Could we get past the problems that current models have and get to even better language understanding?
Those are the questions that'll drive the next wave of AI research for sure.
It's so exciting. One thing's for sure, the future of AI and language is full of surprises.
It really is.
And that's what makes these deep dives so interesting.
I agree.
Until next time.